Hi, I'm Bo Maddox from Collateral Cinema, the only movie podcast that matters, and you're listening to the Trial by Error Variety Show podcast. Have fun, everyone. Laters.
Everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Trial by Error Variety Show podcast. I'm your host, Chaz McRab, and today we're talking to Boone Holding. He's a local singer-songwriter, a fellow podcast host, hosting More Than the Music podcast. You can find it on Google Play, iTunes, and Spotify. And this is actually a crosscast. I, as you know, do a little more editing to my podcast than most people do with a podcast. So you're kind of getting a condensed version of our conversation. If you'd like the full, unedited conversation, head over to whoisboone.com. Nope, just Who's Boone. We're embracing the contraction, as Mitch Hedberg would say. whoisboone.com. Check out the full interview. This episode features a few of my Bandcamp picks of the week. This one is off of the album The Dusty. It's Nasty Scene. Of course, I'm going to have all the links to the music in the show notes. But for now, I want you to open up your mind real wide. I want you to put both earbuds in, both headphones on if you're Dr. Dre beats in it. I want you to get to know Boone Holding on the More Than the Music podcast. Hell, get to know me a little bit more too, I guess, for what it's worth. So without further ado, enjoy the show.
And this is gonna have to go off. Start the song. Watch it jump from 69 to 99 really fast. All right, how are your levels?
I'm good, man. I hear you.
Mm-hmm. I got a squeaky chair.
Yeah, it's all good.
Okay.
I personally, I want authentic, man.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as we're talking this way, it will pick us up. It's a pretty good room mic. It's a room mic, but it's good, you know.
Okay. Should I sit back here more and face it?
Yeah, you can,
Okay.
but I mean, it will
Let's do that.
it will pick you up. It's definitely picking you up. I can see that much. But
Okay.
in case you get quiet or something, you definitely can. Yeah.
I'm gonna move out.
I'm a loud talker too, so it works for me. But I've had guests that were like super quiet talkers. They'd lean back, you know, and I love it. I don't want to be like, hey, get right up there. You know, I want it to be. I don't want to be like make them nervous in any sense. You know.
Yeah.
But I've had that problem a couple of times actually. I'm not gonna lie. But
I don't. Yeah, I make a lot of people uncomfortable because I don't warn them before I do stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, Boone, I drug you here to my house. Actually, you made it here before even I got here.
It was a smooth ride,
today.
actually, dude.
Yeah.
I would say. I flew.
And I've been wanting to get inside your head. My lord, I am really loud.
Yeah, dude. Actually, it's beautiful out here, man. And again, if you go anywhere in the hill country, you know it's beautiful. But
Yeah.
yeah, dude. I actually, dude. I followed you. You're like 100, probably close to 200 episodes in on this
Oh
thing. or
no,
what?
I wish I should
What
be.
are you?
I'm like 50. This will be 53.
Yeah, that's a lot, though, man. Like,
Yeah.
that's keeping it going.
I feel like I had a really good momentum. The first 2 years, I was just like, let's get one out every 2 weeks. No, let's get one out every week. And then, oh, look, I got 3 this week. Let's just put them all out this week.
Yeah.
And then I just I didn't get burnout. I just had my daughter. And so for the last 18 months, it's been her. Getting time away is it takes way more energy than it does for me to just get over the fact that I don't have the show still like under my feet, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, there it goes, slipping away from me constantly.
I was just having this chat with someone today, though, man, in a business like this, or something maybe that's considered pursuing your dreams, you know, I think patience is like huge, you know, and rushing things, that sucks, you know, it ends up, you know.
Yeah. Every time I come back into it, I come back in with a little more passion.
Yeah. That's a very good point, man. And actually, I kind of feel that because when we moved from Medina out to the lake and my wife got pregnant, the fourth child was incidental, but I mean, the practice was good, you know, and so then we had my last son, and it was that time I got in a bad car wreck on Wharton's Dock Road, right? And
Notorious dead man's curve out there.
Man, dude, it got me, dude. Like and it was like seriously, dude. No, not under the influence of weed, beer, nothing. I was coming home from work after on the day after Thanksgiving, and it was kind of raining a little bit, and I wasn't really going too, like I wasn't super speedy. I mean, I've been down that road 1,000 times. I know how dangerous it is, but I just, for whatever reason, just had a bad day or something at 5 miles per hour too fast, and I hit the brakes right on the curve, and I flipped in that ditch, and my driver's side caved in on me, and like, dude, I like left social media, not because I was mad, but because it was just like such an eye-opening experience. And then 4 or 5 months later, my son was born, my last son, and I just kind of stopped playing music. I had played a little bit at the 1856, like I did like a picker circle, like a writer's night. But man, even that, you know, I wasn't burned out, but I didn't want to do it. But I say that to say that when I came back in, it was like I was so much more focused than I had ever been after doing radio, after doing anything. I was so focused and keyed in on what I wanted out of it, you know?
So do you feel like the momentum of that has still, like it's not just this lightning bolt, it was more just like a pulsing wave, like you're still riding that momentum, or basically, you know, you took that step off with that realization and then incidentally just kind of went back in, or was it kind of your plan all along to just like, you know what, just step out for a little bit?
It was life for sure. Like you start to like work the jobs that you don't want to, and you're like, wait a minute, hold on, dude. No way.
Work for people you don't want to work for.
Get it, man. Yeah, hell yeah. And, you know, being in a town like this and not necessarily doing what everyone else is doing, you know, I don't even have to, you know, explain that to you really, because you understand. But, you know, I don't know. I mean, burned out's not a good word. And I never had the plan of coming back, though. That was not, I didn't think like, okay, in 6 months I'll come back. I thought that, you know what, I really need to just go work, and I need to go figure some things out financially or something, and, you know, let the chips fall where they may. But then, you know, and actually it's not even until recently I've really gotten back into playing, actually, like since I moved out to Vanderpool. When I lived in Bandera and worked at the Silver Sage for a while, and I was doing that, and I still didn't play then. And then, because I was content, because I loved helping people there, and I loved doing that. And then I kind of went out to Vanderpool and started working a job that I don't mind working. Don't get me wrong. I've been a working man my entire adult life. But, you know, I know what I want out of my life, too, in the long run. I want to be able to play music and be in this business, however that means, for a long period of time. And so doing something I didn't want to do, that convinced me what I really wanted out of life. You know what I'm saying? Regardless if I can be...
It's very true.
I don't give a, you know, if I'm on charts or whatever.
Like they say, the grass is greener. You go over there, you taste it, it's covered in shit, and
you're like, dude,
like that's why, man.
That's leaving a bitter taste in my mouth. But what about you, man? So you played in bands here, and you had the Trial by Error show. I remember being like, I was completely fixated on what you were doing, dude. I thought that was just. Man, you know, that's when I truly became a fan. I met you, a lot of my friends, actually, in construction, you were talking about it, you know, they were like, dude, you got to meet Chaz. You got to meet Chaz. And one day I met you, and I was like, dude, he's cool, you know? Yeah, I love it. And then... They'd
say the same thing about you. They'd be like, you're not Boone? No. Oh, you need to meet Boone.
Well, y'all are. Y'all are the same. Yeah, so then I heard about Trial by Error through some just mutual friends, too, and... You know, man, I'm just a real big fan of the developmental musician, too. I feel like that not everybody's going to be Stevie Ray Vaughan overnight, man. You know, or he wasn't even, but to an extent, he just had that talent, right? And those people are special, and they deserve a special place. I'm not saying they don't, but, man, more often than not, you get these people, the people that have time to develop. Man, it's so beautiful to watch that flourish. And from a holistic standpoint, which I really like to look at life that way, just my way, then Man, I love to see it. And so seeing the trial by error, I knew what you were trying to accomplish here. And
Yeah.
I just I'm a huge fan of that, man.
You're one of the few that really understood.
That was a big show, dude, actually.
Yeah,
though.
it was a
That
lot of fun,
yeah.
man. And it took about 3 months to really put that together. I mean, I hand cut decorations and, really tried to make something that felt spectacular. And I knew I only had one night to do it. I knew I couldn't stretch it out over a weekend, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to pay bands, so I tried to look for the coolest, kindest, most like understanding people that I could find for that project. And, and I didn't go out looking for really big talent. I went out there looking for just people who would make a really fun show.
Yep.
And I tried to emphasize on the fact that these are all growing artists, that these people need our support. That the reason why it's free is so that you can invest your money somewhere else. They've kept their shirts over there that, that they need money back for, and you can show people you like them. I mean, there's other ways to invest in a band besides paying a venue for a
And maybe
a
you
ticket.
really do like them, because that's, I think, another thing that people don't realize until they're able to have that ability to get out and see something like that. They get out and they're like, dude, this is cool.
Yeah,
why
I didn't
this
know
go
I
on
liked
more?
metal.
Yeah,
they maybe never
exactly.
been to a metal show.
Yeah,
and all of a
that's
sudden
right.
it's right there, right after the hip hop set. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Now
And you get to talk to them. It's a very personal environment too.
Yeah.
The musicians are very available in that sense. So that's always fun, I think, too.
And I had a really good community of support, man. I had people willing to come in there and cook food. The Boys and Girls Club were involved in that. They sold food and sold drinks, and you know what I mean? Like, it. In the end, it was like, dude, this is our community of people all pulling together. Nobody got hurt. Everybody had a great time.
Is that Mansfield Park where they do the
Yeah.
rodeo? That was
Right.
That was a great idea too.
Just right out in the open.
Great,
I
yeah.
didn't want to hide somewhere, and I felt like it really did. That was one of the strongest sense of community that I've ever experienced, and I've lived here my whole life. But
Yeah.
at that show, just feeling people come together around music was like something you don't have that here in this particular town.
Yeah, no, and it's usually the bar setting, which
Yeah.
is it's all good in its own right. Again, one thing I've tried to do is like not knock things in a sense. If I don't agree with something, one thing I don't want to do is spend any time ever criticizing anyone. And I think a lot of people take that approach to life. But by you saying they, I think a lot of times, especially in small rural Texas towns, there's a way of life that has been here, and types of music that have been here, and I totally understand, and I love it all. And I was raised in rural Texas, man, right? But I also completely understand that times always evolve, and so I don't think people necessarily want to push people down, but they don't want to lose control. I think that's oftentimes, but like when you talk about the Boys and Girls Club, and like I've had like the Silver Sage, another kind of 501c3. I've had friends at the Arthur Nagel Clinic, and I'm talking about these, dude, these are 501c3 nonprofit organizations, but there's also a ton of people who think that same way. And Bandera, like when I was doing radio in Fredericksburg, my wife and I had an apartment rented. Like we were going to Fredericksburg, and I didn't want to leave Bandera, man. I'm telling you, I felt then, and I feel now, like if everything's a bell curve in life, some bigger than others, Bandera's on the very front end, I think, especially artistically. I think it's only scratched the surface of its history.
Totally.
And I mean, you have country music, square dancing music, and that is very prevalent here, and it's very good. There are some awesome people here, and I love them. Great venues. There's also some great metal bands here that go to drive to San Antonio to play. They don't even play here.
Yeah.
There's folk artists. There's songwriters, singer-songwriters. And do you know what I've noticed, even since the Trial by Error? How many more are here now? And how many more do you see playing? And more venues. Venues have opened up here. I truly believe that. And if you don't have people like you pushing Trial by Error and doing that, then, I mean, dude, it's
Man.
people think that it's not a big deal. It's a huge deal. It's the platform that creates it all. I mean, it has to happen. If you don't do this type of stuff, then it never goes out there. Dylan Tanner, he's in the Corpus Christi Songwriters Festival. He's one of the five finalists.
Yeah.
He was at Trial by Error.
Yeah.
In Bandera. You could have seen him there. You can see him. He plays back around town. He graduated from Bandera, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's take us a little TBE throwback break. Listen to some music by Dylan Tanner. This is off of the album From Me to You. It is Weary and Clear.
Remember we were so young, did nothing but have fun, and all the while you worked the woods. I sat, smoked and wrote another true love song of you down on my palm. Said something good is working. Oh, my palm is throbbing, and you had me scared there for a broken heart. Dear pit in my stomach, it was a false alarm. In time we were rearranged for the racking of my brain. There were too many buildings out there in Austin, but a concrete floor sat and wrote clusters of words I dared not spoke, of doubtful encounters with pain that we create ourselves, we tame. And you had me scared of that for a broken heart. Dear pit in my stomach, it was a false alarm. Maybe when we're old and weary, it will all be viewed as clearly as it should have been long ago. This tune, though, I'd probably not have wrote, and you had me scared there. Kept me alive, and I kept you alive. It's alright. You kept me alive, and I kept you alive. It's alright. You kept me alive, and I kept you alive. It's alright. You kept me alive, and I kept you alive. So much for that.
And he's, you know, he really puts so much into his production and so much into his artwork and his content, and it's just he has to go somewhere else to showcase that, you know. And it's like, what if we need that? You know, and I understand that sometimes you play in these towns and nobody shows up, and that's just because it's extremely hard to promote anything anyways.
Yeah.
You know, but here, if it's not like somebody everybody's excited about, then...
Or if they're not used to it. And
Yeah.
I think that may be anywhere. People are a little bit afraid to hear something new. I mean, probably if you go to LA and are going to play, you know, country, you might not have a lot of people come out for a while, you know,
Sure.
until they know that you're gnarly and you're serious about it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that might be anywhere, but like someone like Dylan, man, Dylan's awesome, and the developmental artists, if they play here 2, 3, 4 times, eventually the word does spread if they're really doing it right.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that. So, you know, man, it's just changed. This town is changing for better or for worse. You know, some things will be for the better, some the worse. But if you're talking about the music scene, if you have, to me, diversity is super important in the music scene. And I think that's starting to develop now, and it makes me very excited. And back then when I thought about staying in Bandera, it wasn't just about the music, but just the culture in general. I thought that there was so much more that could be brought to life in Bandera that wasn't quite yet. People like you. I mean, you know, that's
I've been here.
yeah, your whole life.
I got my
Pat
roots
Kelly,
here.
you know,
Yeah.
you had on Lee Winwright, Holland McKay, the McKay brothers. They're a
Yeah.
Bandera staple, and they're Americana. They're, I wouldn't even call them country, really. But
Yeah.
they do a little of everything, some blues and stuff. But people love stories too, man. People like to get to know people, I feel like, too. And if you buy into, something that you like about that person, then all of a sudden, their music becomes probably a little bit more acceptable, or at least to try it, right?
Totally.
So, I totally understand. And without the filter of radio now with podcasting, it really opens it up because it makes it so available, man.
Yeah.
And it's not easy, not at all. We were talking about it, dude. To put this stuff out there and stuff, you got to know what you're doing.
They say
sure.
everybody's got a podcast, They may start a podcast, but not everybody's going to hang on to a podcast
Yeah, that's
because
right.
people who aren't truly passionate about what they're going to be releasing as content are the people who are just looking for that dopamine hit, that they want to be accepted, or they want to be liked, or they want the likes, or they want, and those are, I know that's not the bulk of us. The bulk of us really are trying, but a lot of us get discouraged and back out of
Real
that,
quick, yeah.
and
the likes are nice and stuff, but you've got to understand that it doesn't just happen like that.
Yeah.
That you've got to go. I mean, for a long
think
period of
about
time.
this. I mean, I listen to so many podcasts. I'd say a week I listen to maybe 15, 20 different podcasts. I don't go to their Facebook page and like their posts. I don't.
That's true. That's a good point.
I don't
That's
go to
a really
their
good point.
Yeah, I don't go there to their website. I don't. I listen to their podcast religiously. I'll rate them on iTunes. I will do that. I'll sit there one day. I don't have an iPhone, so I have to do it on an iPhone. So I'll sit there with my wife's phone and just go through my podcast and give them 5 stars, give them 3 stars. Be honest with my feedback.
Sure.
I love this podcast, but I give that honest feedback. And then I do the trial by error, and I'm hoping that people see that and they come to me. That's kind of when my reviews are sort of an extension of what I'm doing, because I want people to discover those podcasts. And when I hear podcasters saying, hey, the one thing you can do to help us is go rate and review us, I'm like, well, that's what I'll do then. I'm not going to go to your Facebook page and dig through all your comments, through all your fans.
Yeah, that's kind of a
stuff.
game. That's kind of just a game, It's social media. Social media is great. You can find out about stuff, but it does become just how much does likes on social media, I'm talking about, really transfer into support?
Yeah,
other than just that. Does it even?
It just gives you a little glimmer of maybe a subsection of your audience. But what I find that people that like my stuff are just my really good friends who have always been there to support me. And that's it. It never really gets beyond that. Maybe every once in a while the band that I featured will like the posts that I put out.
Yeah.
But rarely will they share it. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm finding, and maybe that's because they're negligent, or maybe because they realize it doesn't matter. Like, people are going to find this because they're going to type in our name, and if this is going to come up.
Yeah, they're not playing the social media game.
Yeah,
they feel it's not
exactly.
relevant.
And I haven't figured it out yet. I don't think anybody has.
Can you imagine how much a rating helps a podcast? Like some, I'm not talking about negative, being like, oh, this sucks. That's horrible. To be hateful in any way is horrible, man. But
an actual honest rating review.
If it's great, dude, I really enjoy this. Or, man, you could work on this. How helpful is
the
that,
editing's
right?
a little choppy, or, I can't stand the fact that there's 10 minutes of commercials at the beginning. Maybe put them at the end. I mean, just little feedback. Like, they're listening. They're reading those reviews, and those are their fans. They know.
Yeah.
That's the most genuine feedback they can get is from that point.
Yeah. How helpful is that,
Pizza
Pizza time.
Thank you, baby.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Hey, can you get that heartbeat hot sauce? Yes, ma'am. The number 4.
The hospitality here is phenomenal. Thank you, dude. I really appreciate it, man.
I don't
That's
get
awesome.
any guest that gets to come here, they get Totino's, ginger brew, and hot sauce.
Yeah.
The what do you call those? Remote guest, they get just like berated with questions.
Yeah.
and
Maybe,
Skype
Yeah.
problems.
Maybe incidentally kicked in the shin when I'm moving my leg over. I'm just
a real
kidding.
loud bump in the mic. Scares
Yeah,
everybody.
people that don't come out to this part of the hill country, or just meet at the venues, it's just not the same. It's awesome to come to a place. I know all of my podcasts, only the ones I've done solo have been out where I live. I wish I could convince someone to come out there. I just know there's no way. So, I mean, I'm telling you, anyone that would come out there, it's beautiful out there. But again, I've succumbed to the fact that I'm just going to have to go do it at places. And so I've just tried to do it like, I try to go someplace where it really means something to them, and like I let them pick. Like Marcy Grace she's a San Antonio based artist. She's like 20 years old, and I was playing her first album at when I was working at K-Fan, and she's the nicest person and has great support, and she's she's one of those, man. She's a developmental musician getting better. And she has this new CD release coming out at Sam's Burger Joint. So she was like, could we do it there? And it was actually incredible for me to go to Sam's Burger Joint. And they were so nice. They opened up during the daytime, let us come in. And,
very cool.
It was cool. So I've learned that
Sam's.
oh, dude. Well, we talk about, look at their lineup. Go to Sam's Burger Joint and look at their lineup. Look at the diversity.
They got Tabinoy, Spoon-Fed Tribe.
James McMurtry plays there.
Yeah.
Just as easy as that, It's Marcy Grace, who's like kind of like a country, like.
And it's such an intimate place, too.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I saw Lucas Nelson and the Promise of the Real there whenever they weren't even like, they really were just getting together and just getting going. And, dude, there was no one there. I just say no one. There was some people there. I don't want to like make them sound shitty because it was the best show I've ever seen in my life.
No, but that's how Sam's Burger Joint is. I mean, I know Lucas Nelson probably should have had a packed house. People don't know what's going on with him. But like Spoon-Fed Tribe, this is a band that's been touring for, probably 20 years. And the first time I saw them there was maybe 20 people. And then the second time I saw them there, I told Stacey, I was like, we can go. There's never anybody there. It's so great. Sam's Burger Joint's such a great place to see them. It was packed. We were like, damn. So you never know.
We only got one chance.
Sam's Burger Joint is so hit or miss, but it's such their bill. They don't care, dude. They put people on that bill that are freaking amazing.
Yeah, and I'm so happy that the Pearl got redone for places like that because how much does that help them as far as audience?
I've only seen anything on First Friday. I've only seen any of the performances when I'm strolling about First Friday and I see people out there on that stage.
Yeah,
but
that's cool.
Do they do something all the time though?
Yeah, I don't. Oh, I'm saying just for Sam's, like I don't really.
Oh,
I've never seen it.
As far as that
like
district?
For Sam, the district picking up for Sam's. Because forever Sam's like, man, do I really want to park under this bridge, dude, with this empty brewery right here? Who's living in here?
And that's it.
It's like kind of a scary place, but. Now that place has just changed, dude.
White people everywhere.
I mean, crazy. The shorts where you can kind of like, you can almost see the start of something.
The butt coming out?
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
My wife and I love those shorts.
Yeah, I mean, I wear them at home only, though.
Okay.
I don't wear them to the pro. Maybe I should start, though. No.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's just, it's cool. People riding bikes there and just, the culture's changed there. What they did there, San Antonio, hater loves cities. I mean, if you're going to do it right, man. You know, and they put some cool stuff there. And again, it is definitely... They're obviously aiming towards the upper class or whatever, but I mean, not Sam's. You know what I'm saying? Sam's is just reaping the benefits off of it all. Kind of opening up.
I feel like it isn't though. I mean, I know that what it looks like is very upscale, but we're not in that class.
That's true.
And we shopped around there and we were just like, this is actually surprisingly affordable for families as far as like the food trucks and stuff. They weren't gouging anything.
Yeah, they have a farmer's market there too that draws people
I was just like, I was actually impressed with the affordability of that area given like the gentrification that's happening.
Yeah, and I guess I'm not too probably as I mean I've been there, but we've been to the farmer's market.
We did some street team stuff down there for Utopia Fest, so we spent a lot of time handing out flyers and a lot of time exploring it and with the baby and where can we go. And that place was so accepting of the family culture.
Yeah, I did see one store there that it was like an old time like what you would picture like a market being like 100 years ago. It had like all types of like it had like pasta and sauces, but it was mostly like local stuff and it was. Again, I've never shopped there or anything like that, but I love it. When my wife and I get a chance to go into San Antonio, which is very rare, we'll go to that area and hit the Riverwalk from there, and so we go in and out from there because we know that it's a good place to park.
They have all those trails now, those nice wide trails on the river. Like, man.
And you can, so now the Riverwalk has basically two different types of things. You can go into the district and downtown. It's like got businesses hopping, and then you can leave and go into these nice, seems like a more rural part, if you will, but it's not.
It is. Obviously, but they preserved what nature is left there.
Yes, exactly.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah, I like San Antonio, man. I'm a fan of San Antonio.
Me too.
I really am.
I was at the time when I was more a musician than a dad. I hated San Antonio because I'm like, the metal, the rap, accept my indie, and it just wasn't happening, And now they're getting so many great acts coming through there. It just shows the diversity of the people, and maybe just it's the younger generation. There's so much education in each one of those areas that it kind of helps the
It's
flow
crazy
of bands.
how things are changing in the world today, and I guess the internet probably does have a lot to do with that. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe every generation there's this shift, right? Like where things change. Oh yeah, no, you're good. Do your
Disaster has happened here. I don't know
thing.
what
The worst
happened.
you can imagine.
I noticed
No.
it was getting lower, and I'm like,
Is this thing getting lower, or am I getting?
It's-
You know, it's,
no, it's in my head. But then now it's totally slipping off here.
yeah, but it's like every generation goes through these periods of change, right? And this one's really interesting because of the amount of information, misinformation or real information that's on the web, man. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, what do you expect 20 and 30-year-olds to do? You know, I mean, I hear a lot of people kind of like, oh, what's going to happen with this young generation? But I don't look at it like that, man. I'm kind of excited about what's happening. Maybe I don't have a choice to be, right? But I think it's a good time. I think it's a good time in that way that music's never been back at things like music. I'll go back to music because that's what we were into. But, there's never been more of a time when the artist can control their music than right now, man. I mean, for the past 40 years, it's been industry controlled. You know, you couldn't even touch these people, if you don't, get in. And now all of a sudden with all of this, it's open.
You know what they do? I think the only grab that the industries have is that they've started to buy these huge festivals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not
Live Nation and they've started to buy ACL and Bonnaroo and Coachella,
South
and
by
so it's
Southwest.
like, how do
I see
we
what you're
keep these
saying.
bands relevant? Well, put them on the main stage out there, and I've seen some really shitty acts on the main stage at ACL, and I'm not shitty because. It's just my opinion. There's clearly 80,000 people there to watch them. But I can't help but think how much of this is hype because this guy is not better than some of the people I've seen on our stages,
Yeah, I mean, and when I was doing radio too, the things that get pushed in that sit on that desk first, from the big companies that they send it in. We're talking radio here, so this is a little dinosaur now. I mean, just being honest, right? So, and I would listen to that stuff, and I'm not playing it. I'm not playing it. I'm sorry. If it's good, and I'm not saying all of it, there was some of it that was awesome. As a matter of fact, I've always liked Miranda Lambert and her style and her music. She's someone, they push that type of stuff, more mainstream country or even, a rock or something, alternative rock act. All of those, for me, I wanted to dig. I knew that in those CDs on the wall with some dust on them, there was some brilliant stuff sitting in there. Yeah. And honest to God, I was right on that one, man. And I think a lot of people whom are music fans and music buffs would understand that that is the truth. Totally. And now on the internet, you're having a chance to do that. You're having a chance to dust off some old stuff and find it again. And
on that same platform, find something that was released today.
Yes, exactly. New artists coming out, doing something new.
And it's that those little algorithms that I don't really like Pandora now, but the Pandora that begun the Genome Project, they really help develop algorithms for music that when you type in folk or you type in indie, you're more likely, if you tag your band in that, to be found, through the Pandora research and them really pegging subgenres and, now of course they're just very geared towards mainstream and, the more signed bands, I guess. But I explore stuff like Bandcamp, and it's kind of the same setup, how Pandora used to be. It's like you could explore indie and then just hit indie and get a shuffled list.
Now all of a sudden you're going to be introduced to all these new bands.
And it's released today. It just got released an hour ago. Wow. And you're like, oh my God, this has this timeless feel. You look at it and it's like, what? May 24th, 2019? This is happening now? You can tell it's influenced by such and such band from 40 years ago, 30 years ago, but it's now. It's happening right now. I can see this band now. I'm not going to be able to see that band that influences because they're dead. Or whatever.
Yeah, and
this band,
and they're still moving. These are moving forward now.
Yeah, they need my support to get here. So boom, I'm gonna go. Yeah,
that's right. And this is again back to that generational swing.
Boo,
boo you stands. The mic stands. That's one of the most.
Shitty.
I actually read this posted on this musician website. It's like talking about equipment. And the investment in equipment. So it's like it's always a game, man. But
just holding my mic now.
Hey, it's okay. Getting the job done, man. But,
all right, let's take a tiny break, a pizza break, and then we'll be right back.
And while we're stuffing our faces with pizza, you can check out this new release from Trouble in the Streets. This is my Bandcamp pick of the week. This album was released 2 weeks ago. It's called Rule Breaker. This is Pure Imagination. You might recognize it.
Come with me and we'll be in a world of your imagination. Take a look and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in a world of my creation. What we see will defy explanation. What we see, what we know, living in a dream. If you wanna view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want, anything you want, anything you wanna do. Wanna change the world? There's nothing to it. There is no life I know that compares with your imagination. Living there, you'll be free. If you really wanna be, do you wanna be? What we see, what we know.
When I listen back to myself, that I didn't enunciate and say the things that I wanted to say, and we're back, by the way. Sorry. But I hey, how you doing? Hey, naked butt. Hi, how you doing?
She's like, what's going on back here?
It's like, who is this strange? I do not know this strange man. Man, she's a cutie, man. Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
That's awesome, man.
She's the most turbulent child I've ever had.
That's right. Dad's life, man. You love it?
I thought, like, you know what? This is my 5th one. I was like, this is going to be easy, dude. I got this. She has me on my toes 24 hours a day.
How much space between?
So Arya's 4, yeah. So, but she's 18 months, so it's really only about 2.5.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So you were still fresh enough, if you will.
Yeah, I didn't really think I was gonna have any more kids, but the idea of not sharing our DNA just seemed like such a waste, because I mean, this is my soulmate, and I have nothing. I'm a dad. Like, that's what I'm doing. Beyond a podcast or anything I'm building anywhere else, like, I'm raising a family. And I'm doing all of that to really impress upon my children how important it is to have a good work ethic and passion. And also I'm there. I'm there. Like, I had really good parents that were there and very involved. So they were a good example for me.
Is that why in some ways you kind of stopped playing music and went like into something like this?
Yeah.
Because you can be around them a lot more.
I still play music here for the kids.
Absolutely.
But I have no desire really to take it in front of an audience. I did, but the side of me that like cared to know what people think about my stuff went away. It just did. Like one day I just didn't care. Like I don't need an audience. I've mastered as much as I want to master this instrument, and I don't need to show anybody anything. There's so many better songwriters that really need it, like that need the exposure, that need a support group, that are gonna play music for the rest of their lives. They're not gonna have 5 kids and try to be a carpenter. Like they're playing music, you know. And those people are more worth listening to, I feel like. I'm not shitting on myself or my songwriting, but it was for me.
Being real.
It was for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, those songs were they're documents of my life. I never written a song that didn't pertain to my life. I've dealt with my suicide. I've dealt with my divorce. I've dealt with my cheating. I've dealt with my drug habits at certain time. I've dealt with anything that had to do with parts of me that I needed to deal with. I dealt with them in music.
So who cares what anyone thinks? That's
Yeah.
what that was your realization, that who
Yeah.
cares what anyone thinks, dude? This is my reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me, and I love to hear you say that actually, man, because that's what music is to me.
Mm-hmm.
It honestly is. And I hate the fact that songs and music in the industry has become a little bit more like, you've got to write what they want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, the
it seems
industry's
like,
always been that.
that's true. It always
and I was
has.
never trying to make a hit,
Yeah.
you know.
But when you write about something that you've been through, that's the connection between your listeners and you, because then all of a sudden they're like, hey, well, wow, I can't believe you put that out there. You know Blue October, I'm sure of, I mean, he's the perfect example of that too.
Yeah, a lot of
It's
people
like,
hate on that band because the makeup or whatever, but songwriting at its finest. You know what I mean? Like those dudes.
He's from Wimberley. I talked
Wimberley
about
or-
this today.
or
I
Dallas?
think
Is it
somewhere.
Wimberley?
He's from Texas, which is cool because again, that diversity, man. People have no idea. We talk about it in Bandera, but in the whole state, that's what makes this state special. And what we were just talking about is that the listener here in Texas seems to be a little bit more, in general, I'm just saying in general, they seem to be a little bit more truly, I don't know, passionate about original music and real art. They have a respect for the music, let's say that. And so especially at first, you always battle because you always want more listeners. But you realize that no matter what, if you start playing music somewhere and you start playing your guitar, you're going to have some people that are like, oh, dude, you play the guitar? Maybe that's anywhere. But in Texas, it just seems like that there's a great community of listeners that really help drive the music forward. And I'm not just talking about the Red Dirt or whatever has become popular. I'm talking about everything, man. Tejano.
Yeah.
I mean, folk, rap. I mean, I know, and I was talking about this on another episode recently, is like the old Swisher House rap, the Houston scene, that like exploded, man. These guys that were just rapping over in Houston, it exploded because the listener was ready. And
Sipping on some scissors.
yeah, that was a crazy time, man.
Yeah, dude,
that was
it
my
really
college days.
It really was.
Oh, it was wild.
And who would have thought that would have evolved into this? I mean, it's crazy. I went and saw Watsky recently, and it's like spoken word meets some of the most intricate hip hop ever. I don't know if you're familiar with Watsky.
No, I'm not, but I will look this up.
His opener was like straight trap music, and I was just kind of throwing it back because Watsky's very intellectual, and this was like, forget about your brain, shake your ass, And I was just like, what is happening here? I guess I was not judging, but sort of reviewing it as I went, thinking like, what was management thinking? Is this some sort of like label attaching another band on, like take them out kind of thing? Afterward, I went on to the group page for Watsky, has a Watsky fan page that I'm a part of, and it's some of the greatest people ever, by the way, on social media. Shout outs to that family for just being some of the most like reach out and help you when you need help type. I mean, for the people on social media, they're the greatest, honestly. But I went there and I started hearing reviews of the shows, and I saw one guy with my opinion. I was like, dude, what was the deal with BYP? That did not belong. That did not belong on this set. Like, why? But 99% of it helped me understand, like, the other part of that were there, that saw it, was like, no, man, like, Bo is actually a really cool dude and, like, has come really far. And, you know, and so it was like, they really brought it out, just the discussion.
They told the story a little bit.
But while I was there, I was like, what is happening? Why are we doing trap right now? Like, we came to have our minds blown and we're, like, being dumbed down before it even happens, you know? Like, it was just, like, a weird. But to hear the fans be like, it was actually really great to have that variety there. Like, I'm really glad they did that because Watsky's so intense. And, you know,
yeah,
it's just
and
like,
it brings you to that thought, like, oh, that's a good point.
it got you energized, but it didn't wear you down.
Yeah,
you know, and
that's
it was a very smart move.
Yeah, and that's, again, back to what we were saying earlier, it seems like, is people, had you just taken that at face value and not kind of looked into the backstory of why, and kind of, then it's harder to understand. People love the story. Me, I'm a person too. You love the story, man. When you get a piece of the story, and I don't mean force-fed the story, but when you dig in and the story's there for you to see, it's always easier to then become more accepting of what they're doing. I mean, anything. For me, that's that way, and I feel like people are definitely that way, and that's just another example of it. But Watsky, I'll look this up.
Oh, yeah, he's got a great body of work.
I'm into it all.
Yeah, from production to the instruments to the crew that he's traveling with, to his choices, his career choices in general, as far as, like, making a movie out of an album, making an entire album, every music video for everything, and making it a concept movie and premiering it in a
video.
Theater.
Wow.
Yeah,
crazy.
and touring with that.
Wow.
To stepping out of hip hop again and going back to spoken word. You know, from these huge audiences of crowd surfing and, you know, beer and iPhones and whatever, to people quietly listening to your art again. You know, and that's kind of where he started. And he's not doing any of this stuff for money, you know, and he'll straight up tell you his profit lives and dies at the merchandise table, period. You know, like, everything goes back into the art. It goes back into the music, and enough to live off of, you know. And it's bands like that I feel like if people were more in tune like that the music would mean more universally, you know, that people are so scared to lose the money or the audience or whatever, and just taking
Dive
huge
into
musical
their soul.
risk
What
like that.
What means something to you? You know, what, express yourself. Express yourself as an artist.
It thrills me to death to go to a Watsky show and see it sold out. It brings me so much hope.
Yeah.
for
I mean, I'm not even gonna lie, dude.
generation.
I've written songs, and in the genre I'm in, which is more of, like, you know, Americana folk or whatever, and I don't even think about it really. And I used to think about it a lot less, actually, because I'll admit, man, I think about it sometimes, and I'm like, should I be saying that? You know, does that really make sense? And then more recently, again, now that I've come back into it, I'll slap myself for saying that shit. You know, it's like, what are you talking about, dude? What do you think? What do you think? Because that's, honestly, this is your chance to say it. And if you say it in the right way, people are either going to not connect with it or they are. And who cares? Because if it's a reflection of yourself, that's what art is.
Yeah.
That's what art is. It's a reflection of the times, a reflection of your life. And again, at the end of the day, I'm just like you in that way, is that I have no desire to go and play in front of a lot of people. I could do okay there, and I wouldn't back off from it, and I would definitely do it if I had the opportunity. And I have played in front of a lot of people before, but I don't. That's not what I want to do here.
Yeah.
I really want to write music, especially be accepted for being able to write music that I want to write, and be able to be in the business, and not. That's my goal, the songwriting. Yeah, I love the songwriting. I love the craft of creating thoughtful insight into the world. And if you take that away from me, I can't do it anymore. And I think that's one of the reasons I really, like, from a music side of it, not like a family and, another personal side of it. That's kind of why I wanted to back out for a while, too. There for a while, it was like too many covers and too much push to, dude, you got to play a song that everybody knows. And I don't know. If it's going to be like that.
How are they going to get to know my songs?
Yeah. I mean, for me, this just doesn't do anything. This isn't why I got into this. And if this is the way it's going to be, then y'all need to freaking order a jukebox.
Yeah.
I think that's the way it is.
That's what it feels like. And when you get to that point, too, where your songs haven't picked up and you're starting to try to get an audience using other people's material, it's just such a cheap trick. And you know it. I know it. I do it all the time when I perform. I used to never, ever play covers. I would play the album beginning to end. And I didn't get a response, and I can't even tell you how many hundreds and thousands of hours I'd put into writing and practicing and producing, and then get in front of a crowd and maybe one guy knows the song, and it's like your best friend. You're like, damn it.
Everybody else just chatting, not listening.
Yeah, I've been putting these out for how long and promoting them, and and it's just like there's simple songs. I've written them to enjoy. They're not aggressive,
Everybody, you're allowed to listen.
Yeah.
It feels like that, and then you play Margaritaville, and then everybody starts jamming.
I love this song.
Yeah, and again, man, I love music. I listen to all that stuff, and I love it. And there is a place for people that want to go out and play other people's songs. Mm-hmm. I think if that's the career path you want to take, awesome. That's awesome. And there is a time when a song might speak to you so much that you're going to play a couple of covers because those songs just speak to you. You love to play them. And I do that all the time. I mean, I would say about half of right now, if I go out and play, I'm playing for 3.5 hours. So I would say, I usually give an hour and a half to myself. And I don't just do it back to back to back. I try to put my songs in to fit with other songs I love. Mm-hmm. And so and sometimes I even play with it when I usually talk through my sets a lot, like talk about the song I'm going to play. I do that a lot, but I also, at times, depending on the crowd, I just won't even do it at all. I'll just roll song after song, and it gives you a good gauge on what your song's doing.
Totally.
Right? But this is all stuff I used to not do. I used to think way too much about shit, man. Mm-hmm. Way too much. Like, I'm gonna do these songs in this order and do it like this and have this thing planned out. I'm gonna draw my set list out, and now I'm just like, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna feel the vibe of the place, and if people are just talking so loud, I'm just gonna play the stuff that I get by with, that I think they might enjoy at the time, and I'll put some of my stuff in there. If people are really listening intently, and I can tell, then I'm gonna really push my stuff and talk about it. Talk about why I wrote it. And that's the dynamic of just being a singer-songwriter, too, is you can do that. It's very personable, and I just love that, right?
I do, too. I enjoy that a lot. It's unnerving to me when you go and you pay so much to see a band that you love, and they just play their songs, say goodnight, and leave. It's like, I get it. You're on tour. But I've been waiting 10 years to see you, and, not even a... hey, funny thing about this song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
that's right.
Just one, just like,
There's no personality in that way, and that can be a big problem. Some people are,
but it's
way
not.
worse.
And I've seen it now, not so much in the singer-songwriter. I'll go to a lot of shows, and people will talk about their music, and I think that is kind of a lot to do with the free form that we have now. With the people aren't afraid to talk. Because, not to throw all of the credit to podcasts, but kind of because of podcasts, because there's this form where they realize, oh, yeah, people do like to hear the story.
Yeah, there's
people
more of a dialogue than I thought.
Yeah.
There could be more of a dialogue than I thought.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's a cool time. It's a cool time to be doing it all. But what other type of stuff are you into besides music? Like, what other things do you, like, what are you and your, if you have a day with your kid or your wife, y'all... hike or I don't know.
We know when we have the money, we love traveling.
Cool.
We love going to out of the way places just as much as we do like Carlsbad Caverns or anything like that.
Oh, that's a cool place.
Stacy and I actually love shooting abandoned houses. So driving anywhere,
like with a camera,
anywhere USA. Yeah, just just drive by. Hope it's empty.
Here's what you get.
But burn it down. But we love hopping fences, man, and crawling underneath, broken doors and just shooting textures of peeling paint and
what life used to be there.
Yeah, man,
it's
amazing. I'm talking about abandoned houses where people leave the TV, everything, and it's just
crazy,
there.
Man.
Birds living in the TV set, and it's like that stuff's fascinating to me.
Oh, for sure.
There's so much of a story even in that, and as I'm taking these pictures and looking at them later, we're driving down the road like, what happened, dude? Did grandma die and nobody gave a shit? Like, nobody wanted the house, and,
Surely it's in somebody's name, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm always wondering, and there's also a lot of instances where you'll find squatting. You'll see evidence of that, like mattresses piled in front of a door, but one good one. You're just like, dude, somebody's been living in here. This is
imagine
insane.
How creepy that is, too.
We've come up on stuff like that,
man.
Where we're shooting abandoned places, and so I was in this really awesome bus. and I'm shooting just every angle of this metal monstrosity. And Stacy, it was at an old drive-in theater called the Frontier in Colorado. And she went over to the screen to get a look at the drive-in screen. So I'm maybe like 100 yards out. So just casually walking over there, and I'm shooting these pictures of like the mountains through these broken windows. And she just comes running back, you know? And I'm like, what's the matter? She's like, we got to go. We got to go now. And I'm like, what? This has never happened. You know, I'm just like, what? What are you? She said, I was over there and I thought I saw something move. And I, you know, whatever, just kind of brushed it off. She said, but then I got closer and somebody closed the door and goes, shh. I was just like, we're out.
You're like, we do gotta go. We do gotta go.
We are out of
man.
here.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. So photography. You love photography
I'm
too.
super into photography.
Man, I wish I was better at that. That's something that I love. I'm a huge fan of photography.
Exploration in general, man. And photography is really just my way of helping me remember where we were, because I smoke a lot of pot.
Yeah, it's really hard. Really hard. The struggle is real, dude.
But when I'm getting those photos, it's helping me absorb the environment a lot more than if I'm just walking through the woods. I'm on my hands and knees shooting, 1-inch mushrooms that have a water droplet on them, or and I'm really soaking in. Yeah,
that's cool.
If I'm just hiking, I love hiking, but I hiking without a camera for me is just, I'm losing it. It's like, yeah, those trees were pretty, but I remember they were green and brown. I don't, but when I'm there with my camera, it's like you really capture textures. And,
that's cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. That's a good way to look at it. And it's another one of those art forms too. It's a true art form, picture taking, photography. And
I do the same thing with live shows. If it's an artist that I'm super, super into, or a festival that I'm really, really into, I know I'm going to get lost in that. Like, I know the memories are going to fade, so I bring my Canon out there.
Yeah. And
I have a lot of good feedback from bands. I've had a lot of bands actually use my photos for promo, and I'm not... I'm never asked for money. I don't.
You love the love, though.
Yeah,
right? You love the love.
It's so cool, man. When you take a photo that the band's like, hell yeah, this is our promo photo. You're like, shit, dude, great.
I did good work.
There were 20 other photographers there that night. The fact that my photo got, and that again is just me absorbing my environment, knowing like I didn't see all the pedals on his board tonight, but I'm gonna take pictures of them, And in the meantime, I'm shooting through microphones at boots, and like, oh, that shot of those boots, man. It's like, really, I was shooting the pedal board, but yeah, the boots are cool.
Yeah, nice boots, but I'm really into that pedal board.
Yeah, dude. Like, so there's many reasons for it,
and it's different perspective. He saw the boots, you saw the, so it's like everyone has a different perspective, right?
But photography is something I'm into.
So Utopia Fest too, like that's like something that I know that you like do something with it.
I just love it.
You just love it.
As far as like my affiliation with them, I volunteer all of my time. They have their own thing going. They've let me come out there and record. They've let me interview them, but I have nothing to do with them other than I support the environment that they have created. They've created a utopia amongst the dystopia, no matter where they go. So they have a brand now. So Four Sisters Ranch in Utopia, Texas, that was where everything started. Okay, so that's Utopia Fest. But now that it's been 10 years and they've established a following and networked enough with people in this industry, Your Silent Disco and the Team Good Times, those kind of people, they can go anywhere and take the Utopia Fest name and bring that crowd of people, that environment with them. And anybody that's ever been to Utopia Fest goes back for that environment. I don't think there's anybody there that goes back every year for the music. The music, to me and a lot of people that I talk to, is secondary. It's amazing. It's an incredible soundtrack, but it's not why you go. You go for the people. You go because it's an entirely non-judgmental place where your children can run and play in hill country, Yeah.
Where was it this year?
It was at Reveille Peak in Burnet, Texas.
That's right, Burnet.
As opposed to the lush green grass, everybody had to deal with granite.
Yeah.
So it was diamonds, sparkly, rock everywhere. A little dustier than Utopia Fest normally
But
is.
still a great time.
Oh, it was gorgeous.
It did, no, who's
Absolutely
played there? I
gorgeous.
know like a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago, Lucas Nelson and the Promise
That was
of Will
last
played
year.
there. That was last year. That was, yeah.
So did Particle Kid.
Oh, yeah, I love
Yeah.
Particle Kid, yeah. That Willie's youngest son.
It was great, dude.
Yeah, he's
Those-
good, man. They're
man.
awesome. They rock.
And while we're on the topic of Utopia Fest, this is my Utopian feature of the week. This is Henry and the Invisibles with the brand new single VIBEZ. Henry is from Austin, Texas. He performs quite a bit, and I am fairly certain this is his first year on the Utopia Fest lineup. If I'm wrong about that, I will correct myself later.
And let me tell you, you and I could feel so divine. Yeah. Let's take the time to find the finer things in life. Well, come on over, I wanna slow your goal tonight. I'm with you, baby. Everything gon' be alright. I ain't got nothing to lose. Oh, you know I got nothing here to prove. All I came to do is vibe with you. You're so amazing, a vision to implode my mind. Yeah, I dig this vision, this feeling that we know inside. Well, got to love it, dancing to the pretty lights. That's such a blessing, 'cause baby, we got nothing but time. All right. Oh, I ain't got nothing to lose. Oh, I ain't got nothing to prove. All I gonna do is vibe with you. Hey. I ain't got nothing to lose. Oh, I ain't got nothing to prove. I just come out with you. I ain't got nothing to hide. I just gonna vibe, gonna vibe. I just wanna vibe with you,
And then before I know, Ray Wiley's played out there one time when it was in Utopia, right?
Yeah.
Even?
It's funny. I tried to book him for TBE. How much do you think it cost to get Ray Wiley?
I think I actually reached out to his people one time, maybe like for a single or maybe even a 3-piece, 5,000, 6,000 maybe.
Really? Because I was
Maybe.
told 30.
Yeah, 30. Well, maybe. I don't know.
That's what
yeah.
his wife, who's his manager, I was like, hey, look, we're a really small starting festival, but we really think Ray Wiley would like kill here. And we're willing to pay you guys like $1,500, $1,600 for a 30-minute set. Just 30 minutes. Ray. Nobody
Yeah,
else,
see.
like just him,
Oh,
one man show.
man.
And she was like, Ray's not doing anything right now. And I'm like, okay, well, like just one night, like not, we won't even blow it out. So it's not going to be this huge thing. We just think he would do really good there. And she's like, well, it's 30,000. I'm like, never mind. We're good.
Yeah, I wonder if timing does have something to do with that too. Like, I wonder how the prices go because it's hard to say.
Like if it's an off-season thing.
Exactly, because I've never even really reached out to too big of bands to try to book anybody or anything. But people who do ask for that amount of money, I've always wondered how it fluctuates or if they have a set price, or
Do
how
they
they
get
judge
that?
it off of
Yeah,
that.
like how
Yeah.
the hell do you justify 30,000?
I mean, how does a place like Floors pay people that much all the
Yeah.
time? Like they have to have sponsors constantly every single night if they do that. It seemed
It's
like,
true.
and maybe that they're such a brand name that they get a discount because they know they're going to sell merch or something. I
Getting
have no
back to
idea.
Utopia Fest, I'm not sure. I honestly, I don't know much about that situation, but I think they might have hurt themselves last year with the lineup that they had because I know they got Sound Tribe Sector 9, and those guys are like headlining at Bonnaroo.
Yeah, so
I
they
can't
cost
imagine
some money,
they're
yeah.
anywhere under 50.
So who runs that actually, Utopia Fest? Who actually does that?
Travis Sutherland started it. I don't know if you know him.
I don't know if I do. Maybe I've met him, but
Oh God, if there's any Utopia Fest people listening right now, I apologize. You're all lovely people.
some lovely people. That's who does it. Some
Yes.
lovely people.
Some of
And
the
it
most-
really doesn't even matter at the
Yeah.
end of the day. Who cares, man? You go for the energy,
I know
but
people by their first name, but it would just be
It's just
totally
interesting. I
pointless
live
to
close to
rattle off.
Utopia, so I wonder if I've ever maybe come across some of them.
Oh, totally, yeah. I wish I would have gone out there in their when their startup years, because I didn't go until their 9th year, which was the last official year at Four Sisters, and then I went to the Reveille peak one. So I kind of got the last of that, and then the whole rebirth, and it
Yeah,
really did
cool.
feel like a rebirth because everything was set back. The transport, camping, everything was all new to everybody.
You kind of want to see where it started too,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, you came in at a good time. I've never been to one of them, I'll be honest, and but I've heard nothing but good things.
Me too. It took me 9 years to get out there.
Dude, I didn't realize they've had it for this long.
know.
That blows my mind.
I know.
Man, I'm like,
It's pretty
what?
remarkable.
It is. That's all, dude. It's hard to do. People.
Yeah.
I've done some small stuff, just doing stuff even amongst my friends whom I know will show up. Right. It is so hard to organize things like that. I mean, it's
Yeah.
hard to even explain how difficult and how much work goes into that. And then again, you get to the night. And you're like,
You're working.
you don't even get to enjoy the show. You're like, I put this together for
That's how all of them are. Every person that runs that festival, I can attest for that. They work all year for this, and then they work the entire festival. They rarely get to enjoy it. I know what they get out of it is what they've built. To see that and to
Exactly.
see, to feel the
This
love.
is my
dude.
work.
Yeah.
Again.
To feel what you've created has got to be just one of the best feelings ever. But I can honestly say I don't see them having fun. Like, I don't see them out there like we are enjoying it, and it's kind of sad.
But
I've
you
been
also
there.
have a touch
I
to that. That's
sympathize.
exactly right. Yeah, you understand.
I know they're
And some people are cut for that, man. Some people are cut for that, and they really.
very
But
true.
that's why I think a lot of festivals really fall by the wayside, is people just get to the point where they're like, dude, it's not why I started this,
Yeah.
right? But I wonder, have they announced where they're gonna have it next year?
it's
or-
going to be back at Reveille. It's on
Cool.
a different side.
Oh, okay.
So they were having a lot of logistical. God damn, what's happening in my mouth? They were having problems, and
Now I see what was going on.
and they moved right up on the other side of this, which it's just easier access for everybody. It was really strange to have people parking their cars on a totally different part of the ranch and then being shuttled over. It took 3 or 4 hours, so everything is kind of right where it needs to be. So which is even cooler because, again, explore, right? I love to explore. So this is a whole different part of a ranch that I wouldn't be on unless it was for Utopia Fest.
Yeah,
so it's
cool.
just more acreage to explore.
Learn about and
Mhm.
explore.
It's in November. Super chill.
Yeah, good time.
I mean, fires bring your marshmallows and
I'll
your.
have to come, man. I'll have to come.
Totally.
I was really
You
tempted
can
to come.
volunteer too if you can't afford the tickets. They're about 150.
They need help.
They always need help,
Yeah.
and you can work 4 or 5 hours.
Are there some good volunteers there?
Oh, the volunteers are the best. The volunteers make the place, man.
Yeah, they run the energy, right?
They do.
That's what
They
kind
really
of sets the tone, anyway.
They're there because they love it. You
Yeah.
know, no other reason.
That's
so.
really cool, man. I've been a fan. I really, really when they had Lucas Nelson, because I also know, dude, that he doesn't seem to play a lot in Texas. I'm a huge fan because I saw him that
true.
one time. And then Lucas and Corey McCormick, his bass player. It was only a 3-piece that night. The percussion player Tato was back in Hawaii because he had a new baby. But so they had Anthony on the drums and Corey on the bass and Lucas. Dude, the coolest people. They didn't even pick up their equipment. They put their equipment down. They jumped off the stage and they talked to everybody there. Everyone who wanted to talk, take pictures. And again, man, like, I know it sounds corny and I'm not a fanboy. I really don't care. I actually, when Lucas came up to me and my friend and my wife and his wife, I just asked him about his guitar because I was super fascinated to know the history because, his dad and his history in music. So, and that's all. But dude, to have that, it's like I've always been a fan because I see how passionate they not just are about their own music, but the people whom have taken into their music. I have a tremendous respect for that.
It
man.
does. I same for me, man. When I see them take the time to come or just hang out at the merchandise booth or whatever, it's just like those are the bands that I continue to support. The ones that haven't lost touch with.
Do you know who Chris Valdez is?
Yeah, actually, he's played out at Utopia Fest.
Okay, yeah. So Chris, one time I went when I was doing the radio show and I was covering. He was playing with Charlie Robeson at Floor's Country Store, man, and so I went there to watch him, to cover because I was kind of wanting to see what they had going on and stuff, and I watched the merch table kind of started to people in like mid show started to kind of get interested in the merch table, and it was a part. I think Charlie was going to play one of the songs that was a little bit more low key. And I saw Chris put down an instrument because the band had kind of backed off. And instead of standing on the stage with the other band members, he jumped off the stage really quick and went and started talking to people at the merch table. And I thought to my head, do you know how invaluable that is to a band to have somebody like that? Do you know he just probably sold so much for you? And not only that, but he just gained you fans. People, I wasn't the only one who saw that. Do you know what I mean? Like the professionalism. And I told Chris that when I saw him recently. That always stuck in my head. That's one person, but... If you do that, how many times?
What do you feel about meet and greets where you pay?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it depends on how. If it's Bob Dylan, yeah, that's cool. But I mean, you got to be a special person, man. I mean, you've got to be someone that people can get something from more than just your music. You've got to really have something interesting. I don't know. To me, Willie Nelson, someone who. At that stage, definitely. Like, I would pay $10 to go stand in line and take a picture with Willie, very possibly, right? But, dude, honestly, come on, we're all human. Like, your art's good, and a lot of people like it, but I'm not gonna pay to go meet somebody, and especially being in media and playing people's stuff, and no way, there's no chance.
We all know you're just like us.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, at the end of the day,
you're not fooling anybody
man,
with your poster and your CD, dude. We could get those made
now,
too.
there are some people, there are some actors, there are some comedians, there are some podcast hosts, there are some people I would love to meet. I would probably pay to meet in that regard because I know how busy they are and that's an income stream for them. If I know the deal, like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, they get paid for this.
Here's what I was getting at. I've paid for meet and greets. I've paid for that experience. But it was like a book reading with like a book signing, and then afterward you got to, so it was like a whole kind of thing. But I will invest in those if the band is good and if I'm interested in the people. Twice in 1 week though, Angels and Airwaves is coming through San Antonio, Tom DeLonge's band. $200 for a meet and greet for Tom DeLonge. Okay. No. And I love Blink-182. Met Mark. Mark's super cool. Tom, I'm sure he's super cool, but not for $200. Like, okay.
That's a lot of money, man.
Sum 41, same situation. It was like $200. It was like $120 or something like that. But you only got to meet the bass player and Dave, the other guitarist, not the singer or the drummer. And I was like,
yeah, No.
It's kind of those weird things where it's
Does
like,
it come
if
with
you're
like a
paying
CD
for a meet
or a
and
shirt
greet-
or something?
Yeah, it comes with like merch.
Okay,
You get
okay,
like a little
yeah.
merch thing, but it's just so strange to me how they'll segregate themselves. Like, no, we're not gonna let Sven talk to him because he's worth way more than the $80 we're charging for. Like, I always wonder how that works. How do you?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
The Angels and Airwaves tickets were like $65, and then so $200 for a meet and greet is like, if you're gonna meet $265 to see like a techno band, like they're not even
yeah, they
using real
better be
instruments
wearing
anymore.
those shorts that they wear at the Pearl Brewery. No, the short shorts. That's what I think.
Tom's
But-
like 6'5".
yeah,
It'll look great.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just not the type of person that really gets too excited.
Jared Leto did the same shit. I went and saw 30 Seconds to Mars, and there was a whole line of people. I went and stood in it because it was a meet and greet line, and they were kicking anybody out that didn't buy a poster and a CD, and it was like a $45 investment, you know? And I'm like,
yeah, no, I'm just.
they're right there.
Yeah.
Let the line clear, sign some shit, and get back on stage, dude. Like, this
They're
is
already
before he
ba-
was
how
the
mu-
Joker.
Yeah,
but,
how much are you going to? I mean, how much do they expect people to pay? I think.
But
that,
kicking people out of line, you know what I
Oh.
mean? It was like that was such a weird scenario. That was when I realized where the money grab was.
Yeah,
you know,
and
it's not-
again, I mean, I think too, man. You can say what you want. You start losing 1 fan, 2 fans, 3 fans. Hey, how you doing? You doing all right? Yeah, I love your necklace. That's beautiful. She's got this beautiful necklace on.
it's a teething necklace, but
Yeah.
we don't know
Found a rare
if it
rare
works. And
one. I don't
She seems to like it.
It
though.
looks cool.
Yeah, it looks cool. Seems to like it. It's good.
are you gonna stay in here with us? You gotta be quiet.
Is she talking? Does she talk-
Kinda,
a
yeah.
little
She's a parrot right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
She says, the one word things.
bit? I'll watch my mouth then
Mm-hmm.
for sure. I've tried to learn that over the course of having 4 kids, but it never seems to work.
No, she totally seems to really latch on to the cuss words.
Oh yeah,
so
the
watch
kids
out
will
for
do
this.
that.
I'll be like, oh shit, and that's the one thing she'll
Yeah,
copy me that
yeah,
day. Like,
it's
oh,
really?
we try to get you to say your name all morning. I think she's chewing on a rubber band, babe. All right, cool. Anyway,
It happens,
well, Boone, I want you. I really didn't get to talk about your podcast like in depth. I really want to know like what propelled you. You're 7 episodes in.
Yeah, I have. This is number because we're doing a simulcast. Like I'm doing this and you're doing this. This is number 17 or 18. I did
okay.
17 today.
Okay.
But the first like 5 were me at home, and that's all up there. But yeah, man, so I did radio for a long time, and then I loved it, and I love doing it. It was a lot of fun. But you've got the people that run the station, and they were always good with me. I'm never gonna bash on them, but it still comes with like, oh, did you really talk about that, or did you watch what you say? And I don't know. It's just not really. I had a lot of fun, and it really exposed me to this business in another way that I'd never been exposed to it before. And so I felt like that this is something I could give this business,
Yeah.
this type of media. And then I played with the idea of doing a podcast. I didn't really know about podcasts at that time. I knew about internet radio more, so I kind of was starting to like learn. And then
Like Sirius and stuff like that.
exactly right. And then I started to pick up on some podcasts. I mean, of course, most notably like Joe Rogan or something that you just see everywhere.
Honestly,
right?
I think that was the first one I listened to that gave it the time of day because of the type of content he was
great
delivering.
content. Exactly right.
And 3 or 4 hours, it was like, wow, we
Man.
could just hang out.
Yeah, I'm like, this is
Yeah.
heavy, But that's the thing
Yeah.
is you learn something from it. I mean, I think Joe Rogan in particular, and now a lot of other people too, but has done a huge service for this society as far as information, really
Totally.
getting information from a grassroots level. So then I got interested in it. And then recently the guy who really helps me out with production is my brother-in-law. And I'd never give him a shout out. I don't even know if he really likes that. But I mean, he came at Christmas and he said, dude, you know what? You're wasting a talent. And not mean because he's like the nicest guy in the world, but he was like, you're wasting a talent. I really think you should do something like that. I think what you were onto and what you do could use it. But for me, I love talking to musicians. It's fun. This is my passion. I love my friends. I love my colleagues in the music business. But I also knew that there was a bunch of things going on around not just the Texas Hill Country, but Texas in general that were much more than the music that inspired my music, right? And so I just started to develop. He he was like, here's the microphone. He sent me this microphone, which is just this table microphone. And then I had this old computer already, and he like said, he's like, get Audacity. And, you know, he helped me kind of up. And then he was like, send it to me and I'm going to help you out.
Cool.
And so I've been learning and I've been able to learn a little bit, and I'm still open. You know, I'm trying to learn more and more as I go. But my idea is I really want to tell stories from people in our area, right? Because like when you hear other podcasts,
I saw you had Leon. I saw you had Jason on. You know,
I love
Art.
Jason. Yeah,
you know,
Art.
and it's like that's funny, man. I've actually already tried to talk to those people, and it's just things have happened. You know, with Lee, it was like 3 times, and then just something kept happening, and it just kind of falls back. I saw the people you're interviewing, and I'm like, dude, it's like Boone's talking to the other side of town that I can't get to. Like, it's really cool that you're covering kind of the same realm as me, and getting to places where I can't be. I think that's really cool.
Dude, I just did one with Bandera Grassland. I don't know if you've ever heard of Bandera Grassland, dude. You should. I mean, you talking to these people too, yeah. But what you're doing is a lot. It's different in a way, you know. Like you're you know, obviously your character and things like that. You know, your podcast has a different flavor, but you're sort of, you know, I mean, Bandera Grassland was an interesting episode, but me, again, I get really bored of the same thing. I play music all the time, man. I'm booking gigs, I'm playing gigs, I just get tired of the same repetition. So, you know, I thought about Lee Hale, and I thought about his. I didn't even want to talk to him about music. I want to talk to him about wildflowers. His knowledge is crazy, crazy.
Yeah.
And no one will ever know if we don't do things like this.
And he's a toy maker. Did he talk about that?
Yeah, an old toy maker, a little bit. I mean, we barely touched on it. That's what I'm saying. You've got to get with him, man. You have got to get with him and get into him on some of that, because I barely brushed the surface. I promise you that. He has so much knowledge.
Yeah, he really does.
And Art too, for instance.
We used to call him the river rat, man.
And
like when we were kids, because he hung all the ropes.
Dude, he
hung all the ropes.
took me on the river that day. He was like, okay, we're going to float the river, and then we'll do the podcast. And I was like, let's do it, you know? And, you know, man, it was just beautiful. And Lee's a beautiful person. And Jason, his knowledge, and I'm really into, I love to grow my own food. And I've just luckily met Jason, you know, years back. And I know the type of influence he had on me. I've done his 30-day program, too, before. And I know the things he says is real, man. If you follow what this guy said, he knows the human body like crazy, you know, and he just has so much to offer. And he's kind of like us in music, man. He kind of battles that same thing, right? Like, oh, people here don't accept me.
Yeah, I mean, he's very, very, very intelligent.
He's one that would be great. I mean, sitting down talking with him, it blew my mind. And that's what I've noticed now. Like, honestly, this is a cool episode, because it's interesting. You know, I don't know. You've done a lot. You know, you've encompassed a lot of things in this area, right? You've done music shows. You're an artist. You're a media guy. You're a dad. You work. You know, I mean, you do other jobs, odd jobs, right? So you have a lot of interesting things to say, and you bring light to another side of our area that people don't get to see. Yeah. And that inspires me.
That's what I want to do. You nailed it. Like, I really just, like you, I get bored. I get bored of the repetition. And it's just like, there's other stuff to talk about. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, why not, man? And let the world in, because the world does come here. A lot of the world comes to Bandera and visits, and comes to the Hill Country and visits. And I just want to let them know that I wrote the song Hippie Cowboy. It's probably my most popular song that I've written. And I love the cowboy culture. I love living here for that reason. I love horses. We have milk cow. We have
the
milk
appreciation
goats.
for the landscape.
And, absolutely. We grow our own food. You know, we do all this stuff as much as we can anyways. But at the same time, there's so much diversity here that just does not get exposed. And I think it's the perfect time to start exposing that. So
and I think a lot of people like it that way. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people move here to be away from any sort of limelight, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, Robert Earl Keen, for example.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, there's just people that have been everywhere and come back here. And it's a great little place to hide out. And I don't think that what we're doing is too intrusive. I feel like what we're doing is really just, on one hand, documenting, on the other hand, letting other people know who else is here. You know?
Do you know what Lee told me? Lee Hale, he said this. He said, actually, what you're doing right now, Boone, this is folklore. This
Yeah.
is the lore of the folk.
It's true. Yeah.
And I've just never looked at it that way. And
Yeah.
It's exactly right. It's like people. One time, someone told me this: "Don't do too good of a job, or everyone will move here."
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but that's not. I mean, how many people come here every single year already?
Yeah.
It's just we're telling the stories of the people that are here, and if anything, it just makes our area more interesting. Everyone benefits off the tourism. Everyone likes the tourism. So now people can leave here and say, I wonder if maybe they pick up your podcast card or they hear about your podcast.
Oh, they do.
And so now that, yeah, because you're great at doing that,
Yeah.
right? So you make sure that happens. And when they leave and they're going to come back, guess what? They're like, let's check out that radio, that podcast, right? And
Yeah.
even if it's only one at a time.
I always wanted it to be something like that, where it's a visual thing where, like on a touristy day, I would sit up in front of the house or in front of the courthouse and just be like free interviews, and have just tourists walk up and be like, "What are you?" My German tourists. So what are you doing? Oh, I'm doing a podcast, sir. Oh, this is a podcast. Yes, I'd like to sit down and talk on the podcast. Okay, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, just sit down right over here, grab a ginger brew. Oh, it's just great. Banzai's so great town with a river and so all the buildings is so good. Yeah, I think so. It's really good. Is this your family over here? Yes, my. That's what I pictured happening, and I haven't brought it to that level, but I really do want to involve those people that have no idea. They come to Bandera for the cowboy culture, for the beer, whatever, and then all of a sudden it's like, is this a little mini radio station in front of the courthouse?
Yeah, I think what you're
little
doing
sound
though
booth?
is a great job, man. And I think that if you continue on, you're gonna have exactly what you want out of it, because things just take time. And people, this is necessary, and it's necessary on all different levels. Like, actually, as a matter of fact, I'm trying to get in touch right now, and I am getting in touch with a guy that's heavy involved with the Normal in Texas, Texas Normal, Texas branch of Normal, because all these things are today. Just before this, I interviewed a guy named AJ Johnson, who's a Amarillo-based musician, but also comes to Bandera quite a bit. And he was an Afghanistan veteran, and I mean, he would be a great dude. He would be great on here too sometime. Yeah. I should hook y'all up, because he would be really great on here.
Send them all my way.
I sure will. No, absolutely, man. Because I know
split our
too.
contact list.
I know too what you what this means. And there's no in this type of thing right now. I mean, there never should be, but it's really not really a competition thing, because it's really about exposing things that we want to expose, right? And so the more of it, it's almost like the better, right? And I see a lot of people actually do multiple podcasts, and a lot of people have podcast hubs where they do multiple podcasts out of the hub. And when I know that you're the only other person I know doing it, but it makes me smile that it's going on, because that it's a movement forward, man.
Yeah.
And
there's a few Bo Maddox, Robert Oregon, Ashley Chancellor, and Dakota Chancellor. They have actually started a podcast network, and it's the Collateral. I think it's called Collateral Network, but they have Collateral Cinema and Collateral Gaming, and they're hoping to expand. And same thing. They have a little 10x10 that has a central hub of the mixer and the mics and everything, and then the rest of it is like. The functioning station. So since they're a movie and gaming podcast, they've got their movie and gaming area set up. They've got the editing set up with the monitors, and then it's all just like, let's chill, smoke, drink, hang out, plenty of room to do all that in the rest of the space. And they have multiple podcasts come out of there, and they're actually offering to rent that space to people
that's
like you
cool.
and I very, very affordably. I mean, it's really high dollar equipment.
it's like the next step in the progression here.
Yeah,
is what
and
it
it's
really
right here
is.
in Bandera.
I
It's
love
actually
to
in
see
Pike
it,
Creek.
man. I love to see it. I love that. That's the type of stuff that's going to bring the media out here to the next level. And again, we're in the music. People forget that. I mean, at the end of the day, music is what drives you, and art and things like that. And
There's the Snake Bros.
How's it going to get exposed any other way?
Do you know Kyle Allen?
No, I don't think so.
$50 Dynasty?
Oh,
Do you know
yes.
them?
Okay. Yes.
Kyle
yes.
and Russ Allen have a podcast called Brothers of the Serpent. And it is one of the most researched, in-depth podcasts that I've ever heard. And it's made 10 miles from here, dude. Not conspiracy theory, but...
alternative thinking.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
alternative thinking. Alternative
they
to the
interview
mainstream.
authors and other podcast hosts and people that are
doing great things out in the world as far as like discovering pyramids and writing books about missing clusters of people or whatever it is, you know, and they're doing 2 or 3 hour episodes.
That's cool,
And
man.
it is intense. Like they do their research, read tons of books and tons of articles and go down rabbit hole after rabbit hole and chain smoke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's all happening just right there.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and Kyle's making some of the most incredible music that this town's ever heard with $50 Dynasty.
I've liked their music.
Yeah, and you know, and it's just like it really does shine on, like you were saying, the diversity here. I mean, these are all people that are kind of in the same realm, but have all decided that music wasn't enough. There's so much more to the story.
That's
you know?
true, man.
It's more than the music.
Yeah, right. Hey, it's all trial by error. You know? No, I think that too with podcasts, like now since I've done it now since we're 17, 18 episodes in, I've realized, oh man, that's a sign. But I will say this, man, is the community of podcasting, like you just tipped me off to how many more, right? And I'll hopefully get to meet all and, you know, at least get into what they're doing. Because the community in this and people really are accepting of this, man. Like it is a cool place to be, and I get a better vibe off it every day, dude. I'll be honest with you, I get a better vibe off it and I've had some treacherous episodes already, you know. They're my
rough.
fault, you know, human error, you know.
I've had those too.
Yeah, so but
My apologies.
dude, I'm a big fan of what you do, man. At the end of the day, I'm
Thanks,
serious,
man.
and
I'm really looking for it. I wish I would have done a little more research on yours. I've listened to like this multiple episodes of yours, like you know, sort of skimming through to just today, just trying to get an idea.
Sure.
But I really just, what brought my attention was I saw you invited me to like your page on Facebook, and it was like More Than Music podcast, and I'm like, hey. At first, not gonna lie, at first I was just like, that's kind of what mine is without that name. And then I started to see the people you were interviewing, and I was like, dude, he's literally interviewing people that I can't talk to. This is great.
Well, what's even crazier about that too is that people we used to confuse, like, "Hey,
Yeah.
are you Chaz? Hey, are you?" You know, it's like, and then, but
Yeah.
hey, man, sometimes the universe just have its
we could do
ways.
more of this.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, as far as like, hey, you send him my way. No, dude, let's just interview him together.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
I would love that,
Yeah.
man, and maybe even going to places like to live shows or
This is totally mobile.
yeah,
as you
exactly.
can
So
see.
I'm always game, man, and I love
Yeah.
what you do, and again, we've got to do more stuff like this for our area. We are because being the entertainers or the media of your area, you have a big responsibility, you know, to do the right thing and to be the right. Some people are going to say no. I've been told no many a times, and I'll be told no many more times. But at the same time, shouldn't feel bad about that because you're trying to do your job on representing not only your area, you know, your state, your culture, and
I moved right on.
yeah, I mean,
Like, you don't want to talk to me? There's somebody that wants to talk to me. I'm going to keep.
yeah, but you
keep
put in
shooting
there. I
these
mean,
emails.
look, if you don't want to talk to me, that's cool. Dick. No,
Yeah.
you had to throw that in there. You know?
I did totally. Dude. I'm like, hey,
But-
kind of a dick move. I am trying to support you here, but still love you.
Yeah, well, you know, it all comes back around, anyways. You just gotta.
I'm glad.
But
I'm glad to be doing it. Like, I really feel like I'm doing something special in this town. You know, so to hear somebody like you, who's also doing something cool, describing back to me what I'm doing, it's refreshing. Like, somebody gets it.
Yeah, when I talked to Pat, I actually talked to Pat Kelly. I did a show with him a couple of St. Patrick's Day, and that was right after I started my podcast. And he's like, "Dude, you got to check out Chaz's. I've been on Chaz's," and that's when I first checked out yours with Pat. And you know, again, I was a fan on Trial by Error, your show, and I saw that you did the From the Cocoon, and you know, you were a musician, and I had met you before. And for me, it's a breath of fresh air that there's diversity. I love diversity. I love people that are willing to give other people time that deserve it and don't get a lot.
Yeah.
Lee Hale, you cannot find him on there's no web page. This dude's been in the Texas Folklore Society for like 37 years.
He's in like every issue of Texas Monthly.
It's crazy, dude. He's done the pumpkin patch out there, dude. One time I was doing a show with Lee, music, and some guy comes up. This guy's like 40 years old, and he's like, "Lee, remember when I was, 12, man, pumpkin patch, whatever, And it's like, dude, it's amazing. It's amazing.
He really has been there. That's it's at least a 20-year-old event.
Yeah, I think it started in the late 80s, the pumpkin patch, I want to say, but I don't
And
even
Lee's
know.
been the
Lee's
feature.
been doing it for a long time.
He's been handing out
20 years,
homemade
I think.
instruments and sitting people on hay bales.
That's pretty great, man.
Singing people's songs and talking about polecat stew. You know,
Polecat stew.
But and we all grew up here, and my kids have grown up watching Lee. So anyone I just love this area, and for whatever reason, you love it too. You were really born and raised here. I've moved around the state of Texas actually, but
I've been a lot of places, and I keep coming back here. I tell myself it's because of my family, but really, even when I'm gone for too long, I miss it. You know, it's not just the family. It's just like, and not even the familiarity. Yeah, it really is just everything about it. I mean, I love the nature here
and the culture because it is here. It's not just the cowboy culture is very rich, very extensive here, but there is a lot more to it, and there's no doubt about that. And you're really helping bring that out to the light, dude. So we all are, and the other podcasts, other people doing same mindsets, no matter what type of content they're putting out, they're getting into the digital age and helping push our place into the digital age, right? Because it's where we are.
Dude, honestly, within a 20-mile radius, there's probably at least 6 podcasts.
That's
here.
crazy.
It is crazy.
I didn't even know that. You're breaking news to me right now.
It is crazy. I'll write them down for you.
Yeah, awesome. Because I'll love to check them out. I'm a podcast fan too. I listen to it all the time.
I think it's the Country Club. The Country Club podcast with no O in country. That one's made here. That one's just a round table of shenanigans.
I was gonna say it could get a little hairy, but
it does. There's a lot of booze in that podcast. That's a really good one. And then Brothers of the Serpent, More Than the Music, Collateral Cinema, Collateral Gaming,
Trial by Error.
Yeah. So that's 6.
Going right there.
6, dude,
you've done it. You've done your job here.
That's right. I proved my point. But they say everybody's got a podcast. I don't think they do, but the really cool people do. Yeah. That's for sure.
So get one. Get one.
If you're cool and you're listening, make a podcast. We will listen to it.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate you doing this, man.
Yeah, man.
Hospitality's great, dude.
Totally,
I'll do it anytime.
I think you and I are gonna be doing some stuff in the future.
Woo!
For sure.
Boom, let's do it.
Sure.
I'm down for the movement. I love it. Absolutely
Boone,
love it.
where can people go to find your podcast?
Well, so they just go to my website, www.whosboone.com, and then you'll go to podcast, and there's a list right there, right? And most people click on that list, and when they click on that list, they're like, "Hey, what's going on? I just see the show notes." That's because that's the show notes. Whatever you're listening on, like if you're listening on Apple or an Android device, you're going to go to Apple. If you're listening on iTunes, go to your compatible resource. There's 3 buttons you can click right above that list, and then you just go to the one you want to listen to. And like I said, man, this is a growing experience for me. I'm not going to sit here and say that my content is out of this world or anything like that. It's really not. What it is a person like me that just has I'm interested in learning more. That's it. But
it's folklore.
It's folklore.
In
it's
the words of the great Lee Hale.
So but yours for mine, where do people go to find yours?
Really same thing. Just type in Trial by Error variety show, and I'm on everything. iHeartRadio, everything but Spotify, because I'm not using original music.
Okay, awesome.
But I'm on iHeartRadio, Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud. Even I pay a good pretty penny to have unlimited download space on there, and you can even download the episodes from there. Build playlists and stuff on SoundCloud. SoundCloud's really cool. It's very underrated.
Do you have some of your photography and stuff on your website too a little bit, or is it all podcast?
If you want my photography, you got to go to fromthecocoon.com.
Okay, well, I'm going to post this stuff on the show notes too, because so many people click on the show notes.
Yeah,
they're
for sure.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So I'll put that stuff.
Just send them
From
all
the
that.
Cocoon.
Fromthecocoon.com has all of my photography.
Cool.
Trial by Error varietyshow.com has all that stuff.
Bam. Just like that, dude. Thanks a lot, man.
Keep it separate.
I appreciate it, dude.
Yeah, as everything's falling apart around
I'm just falling apart.
This is the end.
No, this is the end for me.
All right.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate it.
That is going to do it for this episode. Thank you, Boone Holding. what a real treat it was to have you over. Super good dude. Everybody go check him out. whosboone.com will link you to all of his music and the More Than the Music podcast. He's done some really great interviews with some other really great people here in my hometown. So go check that out. More stories. The story continues, right? And we will pick up where we left off next week. Where did we leave off? In the middle of nowhere. So anything goes. I did want to send off as much love as I possibly can to the fans of Rocky Erickson and the 13th Floor Elevators. They were probably one of the most prevalent 60s psychedelia bands that ever lived. They were incredible. And Rocky Erickson had a really just troubled life, but somehow, saw success through all this music. I mean, he's a really interesting guy. I will actually leave a bio link in the show notes for you guys to go check it out. It's really cool. He, dealt with schizophrenia and, the music industry in the 60s. I mean, he just has a really cool story. And unfortunately, he has passed on at 71 years old. He will not be forgotten. As a matter of fact, he is a pioneer. And I believe that everybody's going to remember him as a pioneer for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and send you guys off with a really warm musical hug from the 13th Floor Elevators. This song was written by Bob Dylan, landed in the right hands, because to me, this version is the best version that's ever been recorded. It's all over now, baby blue. I want you guys to take care of each other. Tell the people that you love them. Give hugs and kisses. Take care of each other. And please, for the love of God, for the love of all things good, follow the golden rule.